in need of men who will be men today.
Hello, everybody. This is SP. Welcome to the Formula.
What's going on? This is Marky, aka Severely Yours. What's going on? Welcome to the Formula as well.
How we doing? I'm going by the name of Counterphit, in-house producer for Blue Wave Poetics out of East Providence, Rhode Island.
Now, Counterfeit, man, I discovered you through another artist, and like what happens is, and man, SP do it all the time. We might follow an artist, could be a rapper, could be a singer or something, but we always listen to the music. The music is a key element to us, going through that entire album, especially. So when I discovered you from, was it Andre Day? I was like, he always kills me when I mess up his name, but you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what do you know?
He don't care. I promise. He don't care.
I think I said it right. I think I said it right. But so like I discovered you. Yeah, I discovered you through him, and so I went deep diving into your catalog, and then I introduced you to SP, of course. So won't you, like, first of all, give us a background of who you are, where you're from, and stuff like that, so the audience knows.
Definitely, yeah. No, I appreciate you having me on here. So I go by the name of Counterfeit. Day Andrade, he actually gave me this name as well. He and I went to high school together, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. We had a great time there. Always, through the hallways talking about music and everything. Became one of my best friends. He told me, like, I'm starting rapping and stuff. His dad rapped in the 90s and like even before that. So having that, I guess, in the background was always something that I thought of. I was like, all right, he's, him and his family take this shit seriously. And it was also like, he knew a lot about the golden era of hip hop, and we had similar tastes. I remember talking like about Big L and like all of our favorite MCs and stuff. So really good times in high school, but it got to the point where, and I think Mos Def said this on another podcast, I believe on Talib's podcast, where he was like, everybody who is a real fan of this shit at some point is going to try to do it themselves, right? And I think that got to that point where I just love this music so much that I was like, I want to dabble in the creative part of it. So at school, Day told me like, yo, I'm starting to rap. I'm like, yo, look at this song I recorded with my cousin at his house. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, how crazy would it be if I was doing the production for it? So once I told him I had any interest in that, he was on my ass and he was like, yo, you make any beats yet? And every day, man, I'm not lying. Every single day that I went to class, he'd be like, make any beats yet? Yeah.
On your butt cheeks, though.
Yeah. So eventually it got to the point where I was like, yo, all right. I downloaded FL Studio because I knew that's what a lot of people were using at the time. And I knew that, I didn't have to go out and like buy hardware. It was a little bit easier to get started. So that's really like how I got started. And then I made like one or two beats and I was like, this shit is way too hard. I'll be honest with you. Like, I didn't understand the software. I didn't understand, like, I had no musical theory training or anything like that. So I was just going into it as a fan of the music, and I knew the sounds of the beats. Like, I knew I wanted to make Premier, Pete Rock, Dr. Dre, Havoc beats. Like, I knew that this is what I was going for, but I didn't know how to do it yet. And I had all these ideas in my head, and I was like, man, like, if I can just learn this shit, like, that'd be nice. And I just kept going to school and day long, but I'm not lying, man. Every day making beats, and I just got to the point where I felt guilty because like I uninstalled the fucking program. And I'm like, oh man, like, I can't let this kid down. So eventually, I re-downloaded that shit. I sent him. I learned how to make beats. I got my drum patterns on point. Learned how to chop correctly, line up shits with the BPM and all of that. So, eventually I started emailing him beats, and by the end of 2017, we had a full project done. So, that whole like learning how to make beats process, that was summer 2016. And then
wow.
yeah, it all kind of just unfolded like that, and we've been hitting the ground running ever since we dropped that first tape.
So you work with Day, and well, recently, like I told you, I found you through Due Day, and
Mhm.
so the project Rose. That's what project is that? The second project, the third project you work? What? How many projects have you worked with this
Yeah,
artist?
so that's me and Days in terms of like full length projects. That's our third one. We did a table for one EP as well earlier in 2022 on Valentine's Day, which is a nice little dope, nice EP, compact project. Actually, I'll go ahead and announce this on here. We're actually doing a sequel to that this Valentine's Day. That project last year was
Nice.
called Table for One. This one's called Table for Two. So really looking forward to that. We'll have a few joints on there, nice little compact EP for your Valentine's Day festivities. So that'll be real dope. But yeah, me that was our third. Rose was our third like full length project.
Just real quick, you talked about high school, and that's where you kind of started making the beats. Before in the green room, we were just talking about college. So you went to my alma mater. You went to Wentworth Institute of Technology. What did you study, and what year was you there? I must have missed you. You look young. You look like you goddamn 15. So I know it wasn't my generation.
Yeah, man, clean shaven. I look like a baby too. But yeah, I was at Wentworth 2017 to 2021, so fairly recently. A lot of a lot of beats were made at that school on campus, on the train as well. Since I'm from Rhode
Whoa.
Island, I actually didn't live out there. Took the train every day. Being on the train, I think that actually had a larger influence on my beat making and music taste than I thought. Listening to like a P-Rock beat on the train, there's nothing like that. And like, I've made beats on the train as well. Bring my headphones, laptop, all
Mhm.
that. As long as it's not too packed on there, I can get a seat and get busy on the train. So, that was actually a pretty cool part of it. But I really enjoyed my time there. I studied computer information systems, which is like IT essentially. And now I'm working in that field doing automations and like back end systems administration for IT. So a lot of those technical skills definitely helped with beat making, production, and kind of running Blue Wave Poetics in general. There's a lot of things that are involved on the technical side of that, running the website, posting our music, distributing our music, doing all of the posting of our music videos and YouTube channels and SoundCloud, all of that stuff on top of just like general file management, right? Like we want to make sure our clients who come to our studio, their files are backed up and all things like that. And I actually have a funny story that connects with that. If you want me to tell it, I
Look,
can tell
ahead,
you.
tell her we love stories,
Go
Yeah.
baby.
ahead.
So the reason we actually have our own studio and the reason I'm telling you that we do cloud backups of our clients' stuff, I think you might know where this is going. We record, we're
RZA
actually,
moment, right?
yeah, right. So me and Day were actually recording our second full length project right after we dropped that first one. By the way, that first one we just posted in November, the 5 year anniversary edition for. That's on me and Day's both of our DSP pages, Apple Music, Spotify, all that.
I'm gonna have to check it
You
out
want
because I did
Yeah,
miss that one. I didn't get to hear that one. Okay,
yeah,
I
we
have to
actually
go
just
back to
put
my
it
homework.
out. Originally, it only had 7 joints. We put a couple of bonus tracks on there as well as the
Okay.
instrumentals for the 5 year release. So definitely worth checking out. But after we completed that, we were working on a second project, and we were at this studio in Pawtucket recording, and we had a couple tracks done, and then we went on like a trip to LA. We did like a couple other things, like maybe a couple weeks went by, and we made arrangement for Jania to come lay vocals on some tracks. And I think you're familiar with Jania. She helped with
Yep.
vocals on
Yep.
Rose, and she
On
really did
road.
her
Yep.
thing. We're
Yeah.
actually working on a Jania album produced by me and
Ooh.
Day, coming in 2023 as well. Yeah, she's got
Okay.
pipes. Her mom
She
is
got
a very
pipes. Yeah, she
talented
got pipes.
musician as well. So, yeah, shout out to Jania for sure.
Yeah.
But we had invited her to the studio to, come lay some vocals on some songs we were working on. We were super excited. She came through, her friend. We're there, we're pulling up all the songs, right, for her to record. And sure enough, the engineer was like, "Yeah, like all these files, they're gone. Like I don't have any any of these songs."
What?
And the whole album that we had recorded up to that point was gone. All the files were gone. We ended up finding out later that they actually deleted everything to make hard drive space. because they ran out of space. Yeah, which is like the most ridiculous thing ever. And me and Day were so pissed. There's songs on there that he had about his family and shit, and like, like that, like you can't get those takes back. You know what I mean? So there's songs like reference tracks that we have in the cut from like 2018-ish that will never see the light of day because the stems and everything are gone forever, unfortunately. So from that point on, we were like, nah, we're doing this shit ourselves, and that's when we started to learn how to mix and engineer and all that.
yeah. Now man. You had a RZA moment, man. That's what
right.
RZA's so popular for losing all this music. I think it was what did he lose? Inspector Dex. I think he lost a couple other people's albums that people were like, "Yo, Method Man," like that was a huge one, Method Man, because no one, there's a controversy of Method Man's album being good and bad. I thought it was terrible, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
not terrible, but it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as good. Let's put it that way. I won't use that word.
Wasn't the purple tape. I agree.
Yeah, let's put it that way. Let's put it that. Was it a purple tape? It wasn't even Inspector Dex tape. The second tried, if you think about it. But anyway, because this is gonna be a conversation. Before we get into it, I just want to let people know that you've been doing it for some time now. Like, just on digital platforms alone. I'm just gonna voice off a couple things real quick. SP. May 4th, 2017, Counterfit beat tape. That's the 5-year anniversary. September, 15th, 2018, Survival of the Fittest, what I'm saying? And then in 2021, you did 3 projects. You did the last half, you did the spliff, you did the format. And then in 2022, and we call 2022 projects, man, you did 9 projects, and that was from December of 2021 to all the way to September, man. You did volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5 of Beats and Cuts. You did volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 of Counterfeit Chronicles. And then you did the Liberty City with Sean Lib, and then Counterfeit Liberty with Sean Lib. Talk to us about Sean Lib. That's what really my question was getting to. And that's why I formatted it this way. Talk about Sean, great MC as well too.
Great MC. We just got super busy the other night in the studio. We got a lot of unreleased material, so more shit coming out this year for sure. But Sean he went to the same school as us. He was a couple of years younger than us, but he always was tapped into the good hip hop, and he had similar taste as us. And after me and Daylon dropped that first Half and Half album in 2017. He was like, yo, this is dope. Like, kids at my high school are dropping like awesome shit too. So he wanted to really get involved, start emceeing, and that's basically what happened. So me and Day just started working with him, giving beats, and he ended up moving out to right after this actually all happened, like right after we all became friends with him. He moved out to Miami to go to college. So it kind of sucked, right? Like, I just made this new friend, and then boom, he was out in Miami. Yes, but I knew that like for the music side of things, that would bring a lot of opportunity and whatnot. Well, right after he got there, unfortunately, COVID happened, so he got sent back. But the positives of that, though, is that he got super, super busy in the studio when he came back, and that's when you heard a lot of the songs that were on like Counterfeit Liberty. A lot of those songs were made around that time. So, definitely a blessing in disguise. We're always definitely trying to travel, get around, see the world. I haven't even been to Miami myself yet, so I'm trying to go with him, get to see the true experience down there.
Well, not just USA, man. Get that passport stamp, man. You better get that passport,
Definitely.
man. Do you have a passport? That's another question
Not
right
yet,
off.
Not yet. I got a real ID, which is a start, but I definitely got to get proper passport, see the world. I'm Italian. I'd love to go see Italy one day.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Beautiful place. And all different spots, man. I know it's a big planet, so a lot of stuff to see.
So you told us how you got started in hip hop, but what was your introduction to hip hop?
It's a great question. So yeah, I kind of explained like how I got into the production part of hip hop. How did I get interested in hip hop to begin with? So, I grew up seeing like the Get Rich or Die Trying CD like on the table, my brother bumping that, like
Yep.
You know, all the stuff around that time, right? Like my brother was really into like some of the hip hop that I like too, but he liked Nas, Tupac, like all of that stuff. So I would say that was like my first, I guess, like introduction to like what I guess good music is, right? Good hip hop and stuff. He'd
Mhm.
always show me like, yo, check this out. But I would say the rest of it kind of was on my own, and I would say a lot of that came through just like going on YouTube and going on like the internet and stuff and finding, you know, I think a great example is like how I found Illmatic. Like my brother had mentioned that he liked Nas, but I didn't really know Nas. So, you know,
Hold on,
Mhm.
you
middle school
found
days.
Illmatic? No one told you about it? You found Illmatic?
Right, exactly. And I think that's the best part is I got to listen to it without knowing that the context of it being considered, you know, by a lot of people the
Mhm.
greatest album. Yeah. Like my brother just said Nas. So bro, I'm not kidding. I can vividly remember being in middle school and like Googling Nas, right? Because I literally didn't know who that is. I'm like suburban white kid, like dead ass, didn't know who the fucking
I
Nas
love it.
was. So I
Yeah.
Googled, I was like, yo, this is fucking insane music. And I listened to Illmatic, you know, in eighth grade, and I was like, this is like insane. And I just went down this rabbit hole. I was listening to Live at the Barbecue on loop and fucking, it just got crazy. I got super into that whole New York scene and then eventually, you know, West Coast scene. And then I just was obsessed with it. And ever since, you know, I was probably like 11, 12 years old. Um, I just absolutely love hip hop.
Oh my
So
God. Are you
I know
ready
you
to get
said that you decided that you wanted to be you wanted to learn how to produce. But at what point did you think, um, I think I can make money at this. I think I can make this
a career?
my living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah, that's also a great question. So that was probably like after me and Day became friends and we started making music together, and I realized that some of the music we were making was like as good as the shit that we listened to. I was like, all right, this could be, you know, consumable by other people, not just, you know, a couple kids having fun making music. So I would say after that point, and like a lot of people just constantly told us like, look, like this shit is actually like really fucking good. Don't stop. This isn't like everybody else's music. You guys are doing something new and original, and the way that you're making the beats isn't the way that a lot of people do it. And same with like the stuff Daylon's talking about in his song. So I think a lot of that inspiration and I guess motivation provided by other people and just like the constant affirmation of like this is great, um, I think kept me going. So I'm very grateful that, you know, all the people and everybody who kind of pushed us in that direction to keep going. We had a lot of support from, you know, like when we did started doing our first shows and stuff, we had old teachers and, you know, various people that showed up and were super super supportive of the whole thing. So I think having that as well was definitely a driving factor to that. And I would say that all probably happened maybe like 2018 or so, and that's when Blue Wave Poetics in general was formed. You know, that's when I met, you
Mhm.
know, got really close with Sean Lib, Cam Farias as well, dope MC. And you know, we got really busy. Spiff as well. Spiff's got some great bars. He's got another project coming up, one fully produced by Day Andrade himself, and then another one produced by me and Day. Two projects coming out this year. So, you know, we're staying busy, man. We're not kidding when I say we hit the studio every day. We're there every day, no matter
I'm
what.
I'm loving it.
Mhm.
And speaking of your camp, right? You know, let's go outside your camp for a minute. So, like you talked about, you know, your love of hip hop. Now, are there albums or maybe projects that you because this is gonna happen to with your fans. Your fans are gonna be like, "Yo, I listen to this Counterfeit album every year." Like, do you go back to certain albums, like maybe like
Definitely.
a Nas Illmatic, and listen to every year?
Yeah, I would say the album for me that is like that is probably Mobb Deep Hell on Earth. I would say that album probably had the biggest influence on my production style. I learned how to do my drum patterns by copying not Havoc. Keeping it real with you, like
the
I would
goat.
try to remake Havoc for me in my personal top three, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because the influence he had on me, man. The Mobb Deep catalog, even what's released and their unreleased catalog is just ridiculous. So, but yeah, Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. If I had to pick one, that's definitely up there for me. Dr. Dre 2001. Especially on the mixing side of things, that album is like the gold standard. You can play that on a fucking
Mm-hmm.
little P player, and that shit'll sound great. Phone speaker, wherever you listen to it, album sounds loud and full, and like that's what I try to go for in my mixes whenever I'm mixing down a track. So, I would say that as well too. But those two projects, I would say Dr. Dre, Havoc, and then of course, Moment of Truth by Gangstar. If I had to throw
Oh yeah, bring it to the
yeah.
beam, baby. Roxbury, baby.
Shout
Roxbury.
out Guru, R.I.P. Man. Guru is one of
Oh
my
yeah,
favorites of all
RP.
time. Premier is my personal favorite producer ever. If I had to pick one,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely gotta love the Beantown love, right? Roxbury,
Right.
right?
Roxbury, baby.
Ain't it ain't it
Absolutely.
kind of awesome that Premier is the New York sound coming from
From
Texas?
Texas. Yep,
Yeah,
I think that is great.
SP's from Texas, so she always gotta bring that up.
Nice.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Here
that's
we go.
cool. And then
Here we go.
you got
Trying to
the
claim.
whole
Trying to claim.
connection, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
and
trying to
his
claim. Yeah, this is why we got a good connect. But she trying to claim, Premier. She can't
Well,
claim that.
Premier,
We ain't do no beats
I
in
ain't gotta
Texas.
claim
We ain't do
it.
no beats in
It
Texas.
is what it is.
yeah, it's crazy
He
how he's
ain't
got
do
that
no beats in
connection.
Texas.
He got that connection to Travis Scott's dad too from being out there, which is
Yeah,
wild in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
lot of hip hop in Texas. I gotta definitely visit one day, especially like the
yeah.
Houston scene.
Oh man, what I love about the hip hop scene in Texas is you get some of everything. It's not like Texas is not just you gonna walk into Texas and get uh gangster music, and you're not gonna just get trap. You gonna get
Right.
lyricism. It's just a mixture of everything, and so you're always interested in the artists that are coming out of here. But my my question is, because you mentioned all of these great producers, but if you think back, which what I know you talked about Nas, but what song or artist or production solidified your passion for hip hop?
That's a good question. I would probably say, um, definitely that Hell on Earth album. I remember just playing that on constant repeat. The beats on there. Prodigy is also one of my favorite artists ever, for sure. Just like between Mobb Deep and his
Mhm.
solo log. Um, All Eyes on Me by Tupac. I remember seeing that double CD everywhere. Like we
Yeah.
had like in my house, we had like 3 copies of that. The
Routine.
double disc.
Yeah.
Had to have one in the car, one inside in the
Oh
basement
yeah.
to play on the
That's a
speakers. Like it
classic
was
double CD. I ain't gonna lie. I think
Mhm.
that's a classic double CD. I don't go.
crazy.
Something to say. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say a lot of those. I think I have a really good connection with that Moment of Truth Gangstar album with like
Yeah.
especially just at the age I was at. It's a very impressionable age, right? Like when you're 13, 14 years old, you're growing up, and like you're learning to have opinions about things and stuff. And I'm very grateful, especially like where I'm from as well. Like Not gonna lie, I'm from Rumford, East Providence area. It's not like it's a place where people are having a very difficult time or anything. So it was a
Yeah.
Mhm.
great for me to have insight into what life is like in New York and other parts of the world, right? Or Roxbury or wherever it is. So I think that was another piece of hip hop that I really enjoyed. Is like, okay, not only am I like enjoying like the entertainment of this, but like I'm also learning about different stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that was another a big part of it as well.
Some of the greatest producers on the planet, Quincy Jones, just this all any genre of music. I'm not we don't just stick to rap here, but
Definitely.
they play instruments. Do you play instrument? What's going on?
I
What's
do
your talent,
not,
man?
and nobody in my
Beatbox? What's going
family
on, man?
does either. I'll be completely honest. I'm starting to get a little bit nice on the keyboard.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to start to learn a little bit of the classical, music stuff, just for my own production sake, right? Being able to
Mhm.
keep my own keys and stuff to songs. I think right now my niche is taking pianos and pitching them so that it matches with the drums I already have and chopping it my way. And I guess I already do play it in a way, but just not the classic way, if you know what I mean.
So, what is your go-to genre when you decide to sample?
That's another phenomenal question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I usually don't have a like set genre. Sometimes I'll specifically want a jazz record or a funk record or something, or a gospel record. But most of the time, like on an average day, when I'm, you know, I got a couple hours of free time. Let me make some beats. I'm just going through any old creeps. So whatever I can really get my hands on. I will say though, definitely, I would say the jazz type of things are my favorite. I think you can tell with a lot of like the piano loops and a little bit more simplified production, right, where it's a little bit more drum heavy. But I also like to kind of pride myself in being, having a wide range. So you'll hear me do some
Mhm.
high tempo shit from time to time. I might sample some weird shit that's like, from a video game or like a movie soundtrack or something like that. So I try not to limit myself really in what the samples are. I think also there's a song that Sean Lib and I have coming out soon too, that kind of shows this off pretty well. But sometimes we'll sample things like the music that's in the background of something else. So
Mhm.
we'll use like vocal remover technology to like, if someone's like talking over a dope like piano or something. Like there was literally like a part in Family Guy that I saw that in the background it had like a dope piano like jazz thing while someone was talking. So I ran it through the vocal remover, grabbed that piano loop, chopped it up, threw it on my drums, and got busy. So like things that people don't even think to sample, I try to do because that's where you're gonna get the originality, and it's not gonna be like you're not gonna be able to be like, oh, like Pete Rock used that, or like like
Mhm.
Diamond D used that, or something like that.
Do you find
What's
your?
your
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead,
what
SB.
what's your favorite place to dig?
I was going towards that. But yeah.
Good question as well. Yeah. So unfortunately, the my personal favorite place that I went to, unfortunately, just closed down. The guy
Ah.
still has all his records, and I think he's selling them through Instagram. I don't know if he's getting another place soon. But it was called the Music Research Library, and that was like the spot. All the producers in Rhode Island, some in the Massachusetts area, will go there, and he had a phenomenal selection. And in addition to samples and all of that stuff, he had like a nice hip hop collection too. You could get some really rare like 2016, 2015 Griselda releases, some signed copies of shit he had there. It was a really dope place. And like I said, a lot of producers were over there. Jay Mello, who did a project with Day Andre last year, he and I have gone digging there several times. He's also showed me a couple different record shops down in South Kingstown, like Southern Rhode Island area, kind of like near the beach. So we'll go down there, check out different spots. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, that's for the most part, and then a fair amount of digging happens on YouTube as well. You know, not very limited. Like I said before, I try not to limit myself. If I hear something that sounds dope, whether it's on a vinyl, whether it's, you know, so on a YouTube video, whether it's, you know, anywhere, I want the sound. So
Well, this exactly, you know, where I was going. This will, you know, my question was a little different, but this will force your hand to travel, because so I'm going to go off, play off her question. So with that shop being closed, you know, we would talk about, you know, traveling and you getting your passport and getting it stamped. You're going to start eventually, you know, touring, or, you know, just getting out there, and you're going to be able to, you know, vinyl or crate dig, you know, that what we say in other states and countries and stuff like that. So are you excited to actually travel and do that, and to also expand your genre of sound, and elevate through that?
definitely, man. Yeah. So for a couple things. So one, we in all of like vinyl, I'm pretty sure Static Selector was talking about this not too long ago. But I'm pretty sure like of all vinyl in the world that exists, I'm pretty sure like only 10 or 15% of it has actually been converted digitally. So you can only find about 10 to 15% of all vinyl like online. So you have to basically, what I'm saying is, you have to get off your ass and go find the record for a lot of the
Get
really
over
good
your
shit,
ass.
right? Yeah. So think about it. You know, there's warehouses and warehouses just filled, sitting with vinyl in like Russia, Japan, and all of these crazy places. And you know, to get your hands on those records, like, it's why, you know, Alchemist and Madlib and all these producers, you know, they're traveling the world, they're finding these crazy rare records that only, you know, 50 copies were ever produced for, like, you know, promo purposes and given to a DJ, and then boom, it's been stored away since 1974, and, you know, it's just been sitting there. So it's kind of crazy. That's definitely a big inspiration to get out there. And on the other, you know, topic of like overseas and hip hop out there, you know, there's a lot of love, especially for this style of music that we're doing out overseas. You know, they love the, I guess if you want to call it, the real hip hop, right? And
Yeah, I guess.
they absolutely love that shit, and they're very grateful like when people go out there. And actually, like, a decent amount of our fan base already is overseas, which is kind of crazy. I know Sean Lib got reached out to by a few people in like New Zealand and the Netherlands and like all these random places. The BWP album got random listens in Japan, which I thought was kind of crazy. So the algorithm's catching on, man. I'm very grateful that it's just like showing and people recommended, and people are fucking with it. I know one person said they clicked on it because they fucked with the album cover, and they were like, the music ended up just being dope too. So it's just like little things like that, hearing how people
The
like
artwork, yeah, the artwork matters too,
yeah.
Nah, that's
So
dope.
when when you just riding around chilling, what is your favorite song to blast?
Depends on the day that you ask me. Today, what was I bumping today? I was bumping Mob Deep today. I was
Uh,
actually bumping some unreleased Mob Deep, Everyday Gunplay. That was banging. Some real
okay,
deep cut,
yep,
some
yep.
deep cut Mob Deep.
Deep cut, yep.
Um, Listening to a little bit of Griselda, some Conway the Machine.
Oh, Conway,
Uh,
woo, love
yeah,
Conway.
man. And then other than that, bro, to be honest, I was listening to our shit, our unreleased shit.
Okay.
I was with Cam Farias earlier. We were riding around bumping his upcoming album. Just, you know, doing the car mix, making sure it's sounding right.
The
Got a couple tweaks
contest,
to make. Yeah,
contest.
man. You already know. It's got to sound right in the car. That's
Yeah,
the final
gotta wear
test. So, you know, giving all those songs a good listen, and making sure shit's sounding right. But yeah, it's actually kind of crazy how often I listen to our own shit, whether it's like beats and like my own beats, and not because I'm like conceited or anything, but because I'm like trying to listen for the mixing flaws
of
and things
course.
to change. Um,
No,
and then of
no,
course,
you got it. If you
yeah,
ain't listening to
right?
it, you shit. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? Somebody got to listen
Yeah,
to it, make sure
definitely.
it's good shit. before you release
Definitely,
it.
right? If you wouldn't bump it yourself, you think other people are gonna bump
Mhm.
it, right? Like you
Thank
gotta
you.
be
Yeah.
able to, yeah, and like you can't be like embarrassed to bang your own shit when you're sitting at the red light. People are gonna, might think that shit's hot too, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
anyway, yeah, it's good to bump your own shit, and
Of course.
I do it all the time. A lot of people say that they don't. I think it's kind of weird. It's like you should
Listen, we
kind
gotta
of
we gotta replay our
know.
own podcast to make sure they're good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
come on, we
Yeah.
edit them, or just even I do another one live, and you know what I'm saying. And I even
Hmm.
bump that just to see if I can get better and better. Time.
Yeah, it's like watching film, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
In
I
football.
like football. Yeah, football. Speaking of football, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yes, sir.
I just start kneeling like top of knee.
So, so as a producer, um, out of all the skills that you have learned over the years, which is the skill that you would least like to let go of?
Hmm.
Good question. I would say right now that would probably be my ear for like when I hear a sample that I can hear the beat in my head already. So, for example, right, like I'll hear like a piano or whatever, and I'll just instantly start thinking of like, all right, the drums are gonna go or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I start thinking of the drum pattern and how I'm gonna chop it, and
Mhm.
even when I'm just like listening to the record. So I think being able to do that and know if like having like a little preview in my head of like what that beat is gonna sound like, I think is a pretty
Mhm.
valuable skill because it'll tell me if I'm wasting my time with the sample, if it's gonna end up with shit. Then there is sometimes,
Mhm.
where like I won't touch a sample and I'll wish I did because it could have ended up, or, someone else used it and ended up being crazy. So can't
Yeah.
get too ahead of yourself with that and throwing stuff away. But I would say like having just the ear for samples is pretty important. And it's a tough one to teach too, right? Because it's kind of subjective, right? Not
Yeah.
everybody's gonna agree with what is hot. So having a good batting average of selecting the sounds that are to a lot of the the majority of people is super important as well. So like sound selection, sample selection, I'd probably go
Mhm.
with that.
And
The
what's
year.
a
Okay.
and what's the skill that you don't have in your repertoire that you wish you had?
Probably would have to go back to what we were talking about earlier, live instrumentation. I
Yeah.
also want to get
Yeah.
like a little bit more comfortable with using like more like hardware in terms of mixing as well. So using like a live compressor instead of like the plugins and whatnot. They all pretty
Mhm.
much do the same thing, but having that real analog sound and knowing how to use and turn the knobs on the real equipment and hardware is something that I want to be able to do as well. And especially with the kind of music that we're making, I think that analog, like classic, warm sound would sound great on our production and the stuff that we're doing. So definitely another area that I want to expand on.
Now it's 2023.
It's gonna be a good year. Yep.
Well, he froze.
Oh, we're good.
Am I there? Okay.
Okay,
So,
now you're here.
okay. So it's gonna be a good year for just music in general, especially hip hop. Now, if you know, in August it's gonna be the 50th year of hip hop. Now, not only are you excited, but how will you celebrate 50 years of hip hop? Because it's still young. 50 years of hip hop
Yeah.
in August of this year. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. I think that it's really dope that I think Premiere already dropped a little EP kind of celebrating that. And I think there's like a bunch of different producers that are supposed to be doing projects that are kind of leading up
Mhm.
all into that 50th year anniversary. So definitely going to be bumping those projects. Maybe watching some documentaries on Sedgwick Ave and how all of that came out to be, and DJ Cool Herc and all of that. But I think just bumping the shit I love and making and constantly contributing to the craft I love. think is the best way
Mm-hmm.
to, keep keep that shit alive, right? Because people thought it was a fad and that it wasn't, gonna be here, and here we are, literally 50 years later, and
50
look at this
years.
shit. Something that started at a small party in New York. We got people all over the world, literally all over the
The
world loving
world.
it. So, it's actually really crazy, and fortunate to be a part of that. Very, very grateful.
Yeah, it always amazes me that I'm older than hip hop. Yeah.
That's pretty
She
crazy,
just
but it
she,
puts a lot into perspective,
what's your happy birthday, Counterfeit? Her birthday was yesterday. Her
Exactly.
birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
on
older.
September 15th.
Hers
I'm
was
older
yesterday.
than hip hop,
Yeah.
but actually, I've been listening to hip hop before it was called hip hop. It didn't have a name, and
Yeah.
so when I always ask, do you ever go back and listen to some of the original hip hop where it was?
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so first of all, happy belated.
Thank
Second
you.
of all, yeah, definitely. My mom, she's in her 50s, so actually she's in her early 60s now. Jeez, I'm getting old. So yeah, like my
Yeah,
mom's
he's
very
12 years old. He's
familiar
getting
with.
old. This dude.
uh,
Yeah.
my mom's very familiar with like when all that shit started coming out. Before that, my mom loved the funk music, so anytime like I see her and she's cleaning stuff around the house, funk music's always blasting. She loved the disco era, all of that. So
Mhm,
I definitely got a decent idea of like the Cool and the Gangs and like that early era, and all the pioneers. So I wouldn't say I'm out here like blasting it in my car driving around every day, but definitely salute to all the pioneers and the people that made this shit happen so that we can be doing it today.
No, that's dope. What
yeah.
are your other hobbies besides making fabulous and fantastic instrumentals and
Appreciate
collaborations
that,
with
man.
these artists? What are your other hobbies that you want to like highlight? You skydiving? What are you doing? You bungee jump? What are you doing out there? What's going on?
Man, honestly, at this point in my life, like if I'm not at work, which is doing like automations and IT back end stuff, if I'm not doing that, man, I'm at the studio. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think trait in a lot of successful people, whether that's in like business, whether that's in sports, whether that's in any field, is like one common thing that all those people have is obsession, where they are literally
Mhm,
obsessed over what they're doing. And I think it's gotten to that point where it's like if I'm not working, I'm making beats, I'm mixing, I'm doing something related to the music. I wake up and I
mhm,
have this like it's in my blood. I
In your
have
blood,
to
yeah.
like I
You
have
gotta you
to
gotta
make
put out some
something.
content. Yeah, you got.
Yeah. And like it's kind of crazy at this point where like being productive is such a it makes up for such a large percentage of my happiness that like if I didn't make a beat that day, like I won't
Mm.
sleep right. You know what I mean? Like
Woo!
I gotta do my
That means you
thing. So
love this shit. I love it.
yeah.
See,
so,
I can tell you love it.
are you
Love
like?
this shit.
Okay? Were you like we were when we were? Everybody wanted to be a rapper. We beat on the table, and everybody tried their hand at it.
Right.
Before
I gotta
you
beat you. Let's
decided to
begin.
be a producer,
Yeah,
did you
rap. Let's
try? Did you ever have
Nah, never,
aspirations
never,
or
never.
even try?
Nah, never that. But I always knew like on the backside if I was gonna have, in the back of my mind, like if I was gonna have involvement in this shit, like it was gonna be with the beats, because I always really looked up to, like DJ Premier and
Hmm.
um like Havoc and a lot of those guys. So that was like who I wanted to be like, and just kind of be in the back end of things. I'm kind of, introverted kind of dude. I don't really need to be in the limelight or anything. I'd rather just be like know that I'm responsible for the shit that's making people go like this. And like that's
Hmm.
all I really need.
The head nod factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The head nod factor. Yeah. Yo, you was mentioning a lot about sampling from various locations, like like you said, Family Guy, right? That stood out.
Yeah,
So
right.
Give me some of your favorite movies, not just that just sampling from. Give me some of your favorite movies and maybe shows that you can share with your audience, man, so we can get to know you a little bit better from
Yeah,
Counterfeit's
for sure.
movie files. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. So off top, I'm like, I would not the biggest movie guy in the world. Like growing up, my
Okay.
biggest like form of I guess media consumption would have been video games. You know,
Oh,
playing
okay.
Madden and shit all the time. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, in terms of like movies, you know, I always loved like a good like funny ass like old Adam Sandler movie or like,
Okay.
you know, I'm a big fan of like the Godfather series as well now. You know, just like the classic being Italian, love the mafia movies, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. Me do too. I'm black Italian. I'm black Italian, man.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. And then for shows too, Sopranos is great. Breaking Bad, of course. Dexter, I liked a lot
Oh,
too.
Dexter. I love Dexter.
The Wire is fucking amazing. I just
Oh,
watched The
Yeah.
Wire last year. That was phenomenal. But
classic.
yeah, I would say that's probably it. And then video games, you know, growing up, I absolutely love playing Madden. That's how I got a lot of my like sports knowledge and stuff, playing that 2K and you know all baseball games and all that shit. Don't play as much video games anymore these days, unfortunately, just because you know being an adult and trying to do other shit with my time, like make beats. So from time to time, I'll hop on, play a couple Warzone games or something like that. But you know, uh, that's probably it. You know, other than that, I'm listening to music or getting busy.
Well, speaking of getting busy, what other business adventures do you have? I mean, you own a record label. You said earlier, or like you got a joint venture with a couple of guys.
So
What other business
yeah,
adventures
I
are you
guess I'll
into?
just like make it. Yeah. So I'll just kind of make like it a little bit more clear, like what Blue Wave Poetics is. So, Blue Wave Poetics, me and Day started in 2018. It consists of me, Day, Sean Lib, Cam Farias, and Spiff. The five of us. There's of course the Blue Wave Poetics music group, which we just dropped our first album, December
Yep.
21st. So
DWP.
instrumentals for that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, DWP instrumentals. That'll be dropping on the 21st of this month, so stay tuned for the instrumentals of that. But in
Okay.
addition to the group, we also have a recording studio in East Providence directly. So we actually had a second one in Pawtucket, but we renovated our new one in East Providence and did on that first one in Pawtucket.
Love that.
And yeah, that's our spot. So we have clients coming there all the time. We've got a little over at this point 150 different people that have come through. So we've seen a lot of artists that have started and just left. Like we've seen artists start rapping, stop rapping, come back with a new name, start rapping again, and then quit. Go do something else. Go do like wrestling or boxing or some shit. Come back, do something else. Like
Come
it's
back.
you know, it's kind of funny, like all the people that we've seen come and go with this shit, because you know how hip hop is, and everybody wanting to be a rapper.
Mhm.
So, I think the longevity of and like seeing how long that we've been doing this shit keeps us motivated too. Like, not a lot of people are even around long enough to do a 5-year anniversary release of a project, right? Like, how many people
Yeah.
100%.
stick with something that long, right? So, um, just another thing that we've seen over time. But the studio is great. We've met a lot of great people. It's been a great networking opportunity as well, and also a great opportunity to master our mixing, mastering skills, recording, engineering, all of that. And then we can apply those skills to our own music. So after opening our first studio, that was in February 2020, like right before COVID, we signed the lease, which was pretty shitty timing, but we ended up opening later that year officially to the public. So people came through, and all local artists and everything, and it was really really cool to kind of just see like how other people work, their experiences at other studios, and we got like a really good, I guess, visibility into the local scene in Rhode Island. So the studio, not only did it like help us, it paid itself off and brought in money and stuff, but I think the actual like networking aspect of that was huge as well. Looking back on it more, so every day, new
That's
MCs are
brilliant.
going in there recording
Mhm.
songs, and it's even gone past just being artists, right? Like we had a lady come in and do guided meditations, and she's got like
Mhm.
15K followers and on YouTube, and she's selling, tarot card readings and all these different things, and she's doing a really good living for herself, just by, she pulls up, she goes into the booth, there's this like super relaxing like background
Yeah, with
instrumental
the
that's on,
incense and the
and she
sage and
just,
shit.
Mhm.
yeah, and she just goes into the booth and does her thing for like 2 hours straight. And she's told us like people have like cried listening to some of this shit
Mhm.
and like all these like guided meditations and stuff. So it's like
Mhm.
really dope that we're able to help people with beyond even just the music part. People have come in to record commercials for the radio as well, just to use like our mic and our audio equipment. So it's gone kind of just past the music, which has been another dope piece of owning a studio that we never really did before. Podcasts like this one, people have
Yeah.
come recorded there, and all different stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
So, who are the three people? We're limited it to three who have been the most influential to you in your life so far?
Three overall or just music?
Overall.
Overall,
Overall, all right, let's go. Definitely one and two gonna be my parents, right? Mom and dad. I think I'm a spinning image of both of them, you know what I mean, in terms of just like how I looked, how I act,
Mhm.
personality wise. I think a lot of people that know my parents will say I'm a lot like them. And then honestly, I'm gonna go with Day Long, Day Andre, man, because he brought me into all of this shit. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't for him. Um, so definitely very, 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 very grateful. Because that changed the whole meeting him changed the entire course of my life, honestly.
we know you're
That's
running,
dope.
running busy. We talked to you before in the green room. We're gonna try to keep it under an hour. My last question would be, and it's really important, if you don't have it now, just to think about it. You seem young, but I think you should be. Everyone should be thinking about this. So basically, I want to know, do you have, life insurance, a trust, a will? Are you thinking about it? We because we talk about a lot of passive income and building family wealth. So on this show
Definitely.
and other shows. So where are you with that?
Yeah. So I got a legit job, 401k benefits, all that, which is great. Um, I haven't really thought about like a will or anything yet. Fortunately, I guess it's a good thing. I haven't really had to worry about that. But generational wealth and all of that is something that's always top of mind. Me and Day Long. I mean, the Rose Project is, you know, touches on that quite frequently, and Delon trying to make it so that his great grandchildren, will get the royalties to that project. And the same thing kind of goes
Mhm.
through my head when I start thinking about my beats, right? Like I want all my beats, and um, another thing that also connect. I'll finish what I was saying. I want my beats to definitely be able to make money for my great grandchildren and all of that going forward. But the way that that would happen is, if you think about the way that music is consumed, right? That's going to change a lot with technology. Who knows with these VR and AR headsets and shit that companies. I know for a fact Apple's working on a VR headset right now, or an augmented reality headset. I know when things like this start to come out and there's metaverse and all this crazy shit. How are people going to listen to music, right? Like there's going to need to be like when you're at like some loading screen or whatever the hell it is. We don't know what it looks like yet, but there's going to be a place where music is going to exist. And I think that if the music is good, it doesn't matter really when it was made, and could be, played in those new technology platforms, right? People back in the day when they were making vinyl never thought in a million years you'd have every song ever made accessible in your pocket, right? So they weren't thinking about streams and how their music would be accessed in the future. So I think that's something with technology advancing, something that I always want to keep on top of mind, because who knows how those algorithms and things are going to work back then. Like one
Mhm.
of my beats might end up, being heard in like some augmented reality world where, like, they're in a, I'm thinking like an elevator or something. A lot of people say make an emphasize that, like elevator music. Who knows if the elevator music
Could
is
be in a
going to be found
movie. It
in
could
a
be in a
hundred years,
show.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I get
right.
what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I
Yeah,
actually
elevator
saw the
music.
beat last year that's going to be used in a
NFT could be
silent film.
NFT.
Right. Yeah. Like, see
In
all
that
these
But
space,
different, like, yeah,
digital space. Yeah,
and I don't think people are paying attention because there are actual like land that they're selling virtually, and you build your hotel on that land, and people pay you to come visit your hotel virtually. And so
virtually. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
yeah,
crazy.
clothing sold virtually, virtual
Yep.
clothes. And
It
so
already
I
happens in
think
video games
um
and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you could be on the next, whatever video game that we were talking about,
I think
earlier.
artists should really look into establishing a place in that virtual reality space, because eventually, people are already detaching from the real world.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
always good to establish a place in that space. You know, it's kind of like um my mom. Oh, if I thought the computer would have stayed around, I'd have invested early. Well,
Right.
we already know that. So I think virtual reality is the next place to go, and people need to start paying attention to what's going on around
Definitely. Lots of opportunities, for both like a platform like the ones that you guys have, right? Who knows? It
them.
might be like we don't even know because it doesn't exist yet, or it's still
We
being
don't. It's getting
made.
worked
But
on
right,
right
like
now.
there's
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
that I think the coolest thing is that if you have a brand, you can always associate that with whatever the next thing is, right? Um,
Yeah,
even if it's like I said, we don't really know what it is, but if it can go from like having merch to something, or if like you said, having those clothes are in the digital universe, right? Having like your own merch in that universe and stuff. So it gets crazy deep, and I
It
think
gets
it's super
wild.
mhm,
important that, like you mentioned, that we're focusing on being in that early so that we can, I guess, capitalize on the opportunity and make a bag, right?
exactly.
Like there's a lot of opportunity to be made with that, and technology in general. And I think my interest in technology has always been there. It's why I studied what I studied. I think it's also partially why I chose to be a producer and also a mix engineer and all that. So, yeah, I definitely like technology, and I think that provides a lot of opportunities, both financially as well as just like making your life better.
No, I currently get paid off a Nas NFT. I was one of the lucky ones to get into that, get in
Oh
that.
wow,
When he was
nice,
feeling that. So, but it's coming out to the end of the show. We want to know. We basically want you to promote, promote, promote. It's 2023. We want to know. You don't have to give out all the gems, but let us know what you're working on. Maybe who you're working with or what's going on, and then we love that that you can come in and say something positive because these are your fans and you can be able to use this content like we was talking about earlier on any space, NFTs, whatever in the future. You can
definitely,
use this space and these clips for your
right.
you know what I'm saying, for your benefit. So give us tell us what you're promoting and give us some positive words before you get out of here.
Yeah, I think that was a gem in what you just said too. Like once you have this content, it can be used and purposed and repurposed. Like chop it up into clips and do all the different stuff for the promotion. That's a really good gem. I don't think a lot of artists are taking advantage of the stuff they already have. But yeah, on the topic of like what I'm working on right now, so I basically got a project in the works with everybody in Blue Wave. So I got another follow up to Rose with Day. coming out hopefully this year. We just made a really dope beat for that over the past week. So that's starting to get lined up. We got a pool of beats that he's looking through for that project. Hoping to get that lined up this year. Got a couple, I think 4 or 5 joints recorded for it. So looking forward to that. Also got a project. I think I mentioned earlier. Me and Day are producing for Spiff. So looking forward to that as well. Some of like my dopest beats that I made last year.
Oh shit.
In 2022 are definitely on there. So we've just been holding those. Very excited for that to come out. Sean Lib and I got a project. It's called Luxury Dining. It's going to be kind of food based. So, for example, one of the tracks is called Illegal Seafoods. It's illegal seafoods.
Legal
So it'll be
seafood
like a lot of
sponsor.
food puns and stuff. But yeah, that's going to be really dope. Producing that for him. We also got a couple other joints as well. Might probably end up doing 2 projects this year. Cam Ferris, he's got 2 projects lined up that I've got plenty of production on both. And we also got some leftover joints from the Blue Wave album that didn't make it or weren't finished in time for when we wanted to release it. So I think we'll hopefully end up doing another BWP group release as well to top it all off. But I do wanted to highlight, I also last year dropped 12 beat tapes, one every single month. And I'm hoping to do the same thing this year. You know, I think a big part of getting successful in music is consistency, right? Like you just keep hitting that algorithm at the same time and you just keep posting relentlessly. Eventually people are gonna, catch it. And that was in my head around this time a year ago. And that's when I was like, all right, in 2022, I'm gonna post a beat tape every month, every single month without fail. I knew I had the back catalog to do it. So I did it, and the rewards are there, right? Like a couple of my beats started like catching the algorithm, getting like thousands of views, Shazams, and all this different stuff. People find one beat that they like, they go and listen to a bunch of other ones, and they find out that there's a whole other beat tape that sounds like this, and people go down the rabbit hole. So I think
Like I did.
right. If I think I could do anything, it would be to really just get I wish I could get a massive, just a huge speaker the size of the state of Rhode Island and just play our shit, man, to the whole world. You just have to hear it, because I don't think there's anybody that's heard our shit that hasn't liked it. I haven't heard that yet. And I think it's just, it's got to get in the eardrums. Once we get it in the eardrums, it's coming out.
100%. 100%. So you didn't say something positive. We can need something positive from you, brother. Give us something, it could be anything. Could be anything.
Yeah. So 2023, new year, right? Everybody's starting all these new habits. I would say try to stick to them to the best that you can. Try to build habits that are, obviously good for you, because it's very easy to build negative habits as well. But I would say try to stay focused. Right now is a really good time of year to start or do whatever that thing is that you've been waiting for. It's a new year. You have a clean slate. No time is better than the present, right? There's not too many holidays coming up or anything like that. I think me and Daylon always call it, this is the time, nose down season, where, put your nose down and just fucking work. So,
Yep.
that's it, man.
SP? Yeah, I agree. It's that time of year to just put your nose to the grindstone and figure out your next move,
Yep. Definitely.
So Counterphit, man, it was a blessing. And every time we, and I tell people, once we get to know you, once we interview you, man, you're part of the circle.
Yeah.
We will be, trying to get you back on. We'll be trying to get your artists back on, not just this podcast, but we have another podcast. So you know what I mean? So we like, I have a podcast called the THHC podcast that we break down actual albums. They knows about it. So like we actually break down song by song. So, I'm looking forward to,
Yep, I
your
peeped that as
past
well.
work
Yep.
and your past artists, and probably breaking down those albums eventually,
Yeah.
and maybe eventually getting into one of my books, because we're starting to write books now. My first book was released, late last year,
Very
about hip
nice.
hop.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to check
So,
that out for sure.
yeah. So we're doing things like that. We're just as dedicated to use to the craft, and it's a blessing to get to know you. I appreciate you coming on this podcast and entertaining us and giving us your stories and your time. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate it,
And
man.
Absolutely.
I,
Same goes to you guys. Thank you so much. Everything just been very, professional and straightforward with everything. So thank you sincerely for that. No no bullshit.
I think it's important that people get to know you because
Definitely.
it's easy. It's easy. It's hard to root for a beat, but when you meet the artist behind the beat, it's easier to root for them to succeed because
Definitely.
you feel like you have a personal connection with them, and that is the one of the reasons we do this. And I just believe hip hop is more than music. It's mind, body, and spirit. And when it is a part of you, because for me it's not just music, it's a culture. So when it's a part of you and you put your heart in it, I think people need to know who you are and understand that hip hop is more than music. It's in you. It is who you are. It's not just what you do. So I
It's a gem.
appreciate you coming because when you have somebody who's as dedicated as you, I think the world should know them, and it's very easy for the community to support people who love it as much as we do.
That's definitely a gem right there. I appreciate those words a lot. And it's true, right? Like people, when they develop a true connection with an artist, they're more enticed to buy a T-shirt or like pre-save the album and all these different things. And if you're not putting real substance in your music, they're not really going to build that connection because it's just kind of face value stuff. So
Yeah.
when people can really relate to what you're talking about and you're saying real stuff in your music, I think it goes a long way. And that artist connection is there. And hip hop is telling your story, and exactly what you said. The people are hip hop. So that's a gem right there. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Yeah, this is the formula. We had a good time. Like, subscribe, comment, go and support Counterfeit. I'm gonna put all of his social media links in the description. Um, support the music you want to hear. Yeah,
Yep.
everybody keeps saying there's no good music out there. Counterfeit is here,
Thank
and
you.
he's proof that there is good music out there because I am like Marquis. I have just sat and listened to your beat tapes just riding in the car because they're so good.
Yep.
And
Thank you.
so,
Thank you. That's why I make them. That right there, like the fact that I can give you a small percentage of joy in your day to make your ride to the store or something a little bit better.
Yep.
That's why I do
Yep.
it. So I sincerely appreciate that. And I hope that I can continue to do that.
Love it.
all
Love it,
right,
man.
this is the formula, and we out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you.
Mhm.